All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down 5 psychological secrets, and I use that word loosely, of people who really struggle to make friends. And it's a way more common experience than you might think. And the reasons why? Well, they're probably not what you'd expect. Right? I mean, you've definitely seen this before. You meet someone who seems totally great, they're nice, they're interesting, they seem to have it all together, but for some reason, they just can't seem to make those friendships stick. It's a real puzzle, not just for them, but for anyone watching from the outside. And this is where it gets really interesting. Our first instinct might be to think, oh, it's about being shy or not confident. But the truth is, it's often something much deeper. These invisible patterns in how we think and act that just get in the way without us even noticing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to shine a big old spotlight on these unseen barriers. We're diving deep into the silent patterns that can quietly sabotage our chances to connect with people. So what's on the agenda? Well, we've got 5 big ones to tackle. There's avoiding vulnerability, then overanalyzing every little interaction, having a passive social style, that classic fear of rejection, and finally, something called social energy drainage. Let's jump into that first one. I love the metaphor for this first barrier, armor. It's this heavy shield we wear that feels like it's protecting us, but really it's just isolating us. And it all comes down to how we deal with vulnerability. So what does that actually mean in the real world? It means you keep all the important stuff, your real opinions, your true feelings, your fears under lock and key. You show people a perfect, polished version of yourself. But here's the thing, friendships are built in the messy middle. If people can't see the real you, there's nothing for them to actually connect with. And this thought right here, this is the engine that keeps that armor on. It's this deep, quiet fear that the real you just isn't good enough. So you keep the shield up. But in doing so, you keep everyone out. Okay, moving on to our next section, which really covers 2 secrets that are totally connected. They're both born from what you could call the anxious mind. This is all about how overthinking can completely sabotage a friendship before it even has a chance to begin. This one is brutal. You know this one, right? It's when you leave a conversation and you don't just forget about it. You put it under a microscope. You replay every single word, every pause, every look, and you almost always decide you messed up somehow. It's so exhausting. It makes you want to avoid talking to people altogether. And this just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? It's almost comical. On the left, you have a totally normal, meaningless goodbye. But on the right, that's what your brain turns it into. A 3-hour trial where you are the only defendant. If this is what happens after a simple see you later, of course you'd be nervous about having a real conversation. And what does all that mental gymnastics lead to? Well, it leads directly to this, doing nothing. That anxiety becomes paralyzing, which brings us right to our third hidden pattern. This is what I call the passenger seat approach to friendship. You're happy to go along for the ride, but you're never the one to grab the steering wheel. You're always waiting to be invited, waiting for the other person to text first. It feels safer, for sure, because you can't get rejected, but friendships need 2 drivers. This slide just lays it out so clearly. It's the sad little life cycle of a friendship that could have been. You meet, things are good, there's potential, but then you wait. And maybe they're waiting too, or maybe they just get busy. And just like that, the spark is gone. The connection just fizzles out. Okay, this brings us to our final 2 barriers, and they are really tied together by one powerful emotion, fear. This is all about that internal battle where our deep need for safety goes to war with our deep need for connection. This is the big one, fear of rejection. It's that tiny, loud voice in your head that screams, "Don't say that. Don't invite them. Don't be too weird." It's all about protecting ourselves from the sting of somebody saying no, or worse, not responding at all. But here's the devastating trade-off. When you build a fortress to protect yourself from rejection, you don't realize that fortress also blocks any chance of acceptance. You can't get hurt, that's true, but you also can't get seen, and that's a lonely way to live. And finally, we've got a really practical one, social energy drainage. For a lot of people, being around other people, even people they like, is just draining. It's like their social battery is half the size of everyone else's. The problem is, friendships are built on consistency. You need to show up again and again. And if you're always running on empty, that's almost impossible to do. Okay, phew.
So we put all these heavy, hidden barriers out on the table. But here's the thing, just knowing they exist is where the power is. Moving from these secrets to self-awareness, that's how you start to change things.
So let's do a quick recap. We've got the armor we wear to avoid vulnerability. We've got the mental hamster wheel of overanalyzing, the inaction of being passive, the play it safe mode from fear of rejection, and finally, just plain running out of social gas. And really, this is the most important takeaway of all. You can't start to tear down a wall that you don't even know is there. By making these unconscious patterns conscious, by finally seeing the invisible wall, you've already taken the first and most critical step. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that these barriers are visible, maybe you see them in yourself, maybe in someone you know, what's one tiny manageable step you can take? It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's just sending one text, sharing one small, true feeling. Or maybe it's just deciding not to replay that last conversation. What's your first step?